Rantz.
Life and motherhood uncensored.
Welcome back to Mama Rantz with Elle.
And Allie.
Hey, Allie, how are you doing this week?
Well, I have a sick toddler, so as good as that can go,
So
exhausting from
great.
hearing the coughing, irritable, not getting the amount of sleep that she's used to, me not getting the amount of sleep I'm used to, so you just, got it from all angles, so. But we're making through. Her cough is thankfully slowing down. Still there, but that seems to be like the congestion, and then the cough is like the lingering thing that has lasted forever, it seems like at this point, but we'll get there.
It's terrible because you always feel like you need a vacation after a vacation, but then to get sick right after a vacation is just, I feel for you. I'm sorry. But as always, we're going to start out with our wins or fails. Do you have any this week, Allie?
I would say the fail I have this week is not realizing how tall my daughter has become. And I say that because I have, when I'm preparing stuff like snacks or meals or like, cutting something like some apples, and then she's just at that height now, like, she could like touch the top of it, but she could never reach anything fully on top up until literally today. I was making something and she just went right up there and ching, grabbed it, and I just was not prepared. I guess I just, they're so little, for so long, and you see them and then you don't realize how big they actually are until something like that happens. And then I was cooking dinner at the same time, and I had like the arm of like the pot, like, hanging out, like not like over the stove, but like enough to where she could totally reach up and grab it. And then all those scenarios like run through my head of, hearing kids that pull the boiling pot of water on themselves, end up at the ER with, burns and all this other shit. So yeah, all that stuff was going through my head at one time. And I mean, thankfully it was, only thing she grabbed was a bowl of her own snacks, but it could have definitely been worse. But I guess, now I'm prepared, and thankfully nothing happened.
Man, those things will never stop to give you anxiety. I had a really bad mom fail this week, and it's not just a one thing. I am like really generalizing it and going out of my comfort zone this week. So this week we had a lot of stress on the table anyway. It was my mom's 18-month cancer checkup to see if she was still in remission. So I was, already anxious because of that. And apparently my anxiety just went on a freaking snowball roll. And all that I could think is I was like hyper focused on B-Man and his development. And it was, oh my gosh, is he developing normal? Is he okay? And it's crazy because all of these things that I was potentially concerned about, like his speech, stuff like that, we've already talked to the pediatrician about, and the pediatrician was like, don't worry about it. He's where he's supposed to be. He's fine. And I went down a massive rabbit hole, just super anxious about my child's development. I was a ball of anxiety. I'll say that at least a mom win came out of it, and I tried really hard to just focus one-on-one time with him and my mom. And thank God my mom is still in remission. Woo! Yeah. It was like the best Mother's Day gift ever. But yeah, I mean, man, did I let anxiety get the best of me this week. And that to me is like the biggest mom fail, because it's things that I shouldn't be anxious over. I really should be able to logically talk myself out of that. But man, is it hard when you are worried about the health and development of your family.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel that. You feel like you have like, well, especially in your situation, I mean, like your mom is, on one end, battling something so serious. And then you have your baby on the other end who's just trying to, handle like the basic things. And so you have like you have both ends of the spectrum going on, and you're trying to juggle them both at the same exact fucking time. So that's it's a lot. I just couldn't even imagine, being in that position. which is so much fucking stress on top of all the other shit that you have to deal with yourself personally and things that you have going on. And then you have all these other people to also worry about.
It's true. And while we're talking about moms, like, is that why moms, when they get like a lot older, it's like they go down these rabbit holes and they're just a little crazy, like not in a bad way, but like to each their own. There's something that goes on, and I swear it's like the stress that children start, producing in your life. It ends up cultivating this end product when our moms get older, and it's like, man, is that what happens? I'm gonna have kids and I'm gonna go batshit crazy because of all the stress. Like, you never stop worrying about them, and that never goes away. And man, I mean, when you look at that, what was it, that Bad Moms reference with Wanda Sykes, and it's like, you want to know why your mom's crazy? You motherfucker, you. And it's it's so true. Like, the way she described it, like, hit me so hard. It was like, yeah, we have the baby doesn't sleep, you're exhausted. Now they just came out with a study that you don't get back to being yourself from having a baby for 7 years. Metabolically, your body does not reach the point it was at prior to birth for 7 years. And then you just think of all the stresses. Then you worry about the toddler getting into something and killing itself. And then your kids, they go into school, and then you're worried. Now you're worried about, are they going to fit in? Are they being bullied? Are they going to commit suicide? Now they get their damn driver's license. Oh my gosh. Are they going to get into a wreck? But, and then it's college, and then it's getting through college and the stress and making ends meet. And I think to myself, this is why I'm going to be batshit crazy. I look at Matt and I'm just like, don't let me be batshit crazy. Don't let me turn batshit crazy.
Right. I mean, there are moms I feel like do like legitimately fall off the fucking deep end. And, like, I feel like not a lot of moms have like that support, or not a lot of moms have that, that support or circle that they can vent to about the things that they're struggling with. There are a lot of people who dismiss the way that they might be feeling, and that's huge. I was actually talking to my best friend about this yesterday or today, actually. She was just saying, she's had a lot of like these like thoughts of, something bad happening to herself and leaving her baby behind. And, like, I struggled.
Thoughts.
Yeah, I was like, that's me all the time. And, they definitely have gotten so much better. But like those first like 6 months to a year, like, I was so afraid of SIDS that literally, like, I would in my mind picture, waking up and finding like my dead baby. And I would, when I go places, or I'm like, oh, like, is it worth like risking my life? Like, silly things, like even just walking into Walmart, I will literally like, I went there the other day because I needed something. And I was like, oh, do I really need to like get something? Is it really worth someone like snagging me out of the parking lot? Is it worth someone kidnapping me? Is it worth someone, like, I was by myself, Tootie and my husband were here, and I'm just like, is it worth that? And it's scary that, you have to think that way. But in reality, like, it just, those thoughts are, happen so often. And thankfully, I have a very good like circle that I can express these things to. And a lot of women don't. And I feel like it just doesn't help your situation.
It's true. Being able to either have someone like a licensed therapist, or a friend, or even like a group to just vent to, but you need somebody, you need an outlet, you need to be able to vent and just kind of work through those things. And man, more often than not, all that you need is, another person to hear you and say, yes, you're justified in feeling that way. I totally get that. You're gonna find a way out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is scary with our world the way it is now. It's like night and day from when I grew up. I'm sure it still feels that way a little bit for you too. It does.
And I just, like I say sometimes, like, I wish I grew up, like when like my mom was younger, or like had, more of like a stress-free like living situation. But then I'm like today, like they didn't have, video. When I was little, they didn't have like baby monitors. They didn't have outlet socks. They didn't have like the technology and car seats that we have. And so I'm like so thankful to be in this time, but at the same time it's like so like scary to be in this time. Like
It is, because everything is projected. You know, anytime something bad happens, you can't be sheltered from it, because it's either going to be on your phone, on your computer,
yeah,
on the
that's true.
news, on the
It's
TV,
always
on the
somewhere.
radio. Yes, it is massively everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in the 80s, but it was really like my parents' mentality because of my brothers. It was like the late 70s, early 80s type of mentality. And, you know, we were able to play outside all day. They didn't have to watch over us all the time. You know, we were able to go play with our friends in the neighborhood, go walk to somebody's house, go to the park and play, you know, all the sports and do boondoggle and crafts. And, you know, our parents wouldn't have to sit there and hover over us and make sure we were okay. And I'm not saying there wasn't bad things happening back then, but now you just hear about the bad things so much, and it seems everything is so much more accessible that, you know, you can't even, and that like kills me to know that I can never give my child the childhood that I had. I can never give him as much freedom as I had to learn and explore and become himself. That's hard. Man, I just wish we could go back. I was having that talk with my mom the other day. I just wish I could go back.
How old were your parents when they had you?
So my mother was 38 when she had me, and my father was 39. And they were pretty late in life, not purposely, but, you know, my mom was just ecstatic to have children.
Right.
How old was your mom when she had you?
She was 24. Yeah, she is now, what, 52? Well, turns 52 in August, actually. And my sister and I are a 7-year gap. My mom and my sister we always like argue, and I'm like, we're like 8 years apart, and they're like, no, it's 7. I'm like, I think it's 8. And they're like, no, it's 7. So we just go with 7. But yeah, she is she is about to not be a teenager anymore. She's about to turn 20 next month, so that's exciting. But I really appreciated, you know, that gap that we had. And I think my mom was 31 or 32 when she had my sister. So I feel like when I envisioned like my life, like I wanted to, you know, have like that same like timeline as far as like my mom. Like I wanted to, you know, she got married, you know, younger ish, and then I did, and I just wanted to, you know, follow in that footsteps of like, you know, 24, 25 sounds like just like the perfect, you know, age. And then that gives me time to, you know, soak in the first one, and then, you know, later on second one have time for that. But like I wanted to be like a young-ish mom, not younger than 25, you know, not younger than freaking like 22. I wanted to enjoy being married, but then enjoy my baby, and then, you
not
know,
an old
be
mom
done.
like me.
I wanted to be done by 30. That was the plan. So that is the plan. But I mean, everybody has their different, you know, different paths, and, you know, thankfully, we got pregnant quicker than, I mean, you know, I had always seen all these stories, you know, everywhere that like, you know, infertility issues in here. And thankfully I, you know, struggled a little bit, but not in comparison to other people where it's like years and years and years.
I love the thought of having so much time, you know, especially with my mom being older. I'm always so scared something's going to happen. And I know that can happen to younger moms too. Like, you never know when your time is up and what's, you know, things happen. But I'm so ecstatic to have my child, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried about being here for my child. When you're older, you know, you're normally more stable. You have more patience, more life experience. And, you know, they claim that you're more financially stable. That's not our situation, but, you know, whenever we finally had B-Man, it was like, Yes, but at the same time, it's like, how am I going to afford this? But then when you're younger, you have the opportunity to really like grow up with your child.
Yeah. So with that, we do have Mother's Day quickly approaching, and by quickly approaching, I mean like 2 motherfucking days. I don't know. I don't know if my husband has anything planned or not. He asked me what I was doing Monday for whatever reason. And then I said why, and then he didn't answer. So that leads me to believe there's something up his sleeve. I don't know what it is. But you know, with us being Disney pass holders, you know, my instant brain is like, please just like, if you're gonna spend any money, like, don't spend money on $50 flowers. You know, fuck that. Spend me on a fucking night at freaking, you know, in Orlando. Like, take that money and spend it elsewhere. So I don't know what he's got up his sleeve. I really don't. But don't get me wrong, I love me some flowers, but I'm like so frugal that I don't want fucking flowers. Like, I'm like, don't spend your X amount of money on flowers. Like, I'm like, that could go, you know, somewhere else. You know, somewhere else, do something. Like, I'm more of like an adventure, let's go somewhere kind of person versus like flowers. Or I mean, I love them, they're beautiful, but go pick them. Go pick me some pretty flowers in the field, and I'll appreciate that so much more.
What about like a massage or something? Is that the same type of
Oh,
thing for
yes.
you? Oh, you would like that.
No.
Okay.
See, yeah. So yeah, think I got that last year. I got a massage last year, and like, you know, I like those kind of things. But like, I mean, flowers are like pretty for a moment, and then you got to take care of them, and in hopes that they don't die in 3 days. Like, versus like a massage, kind of like, you know, that's a nice, you know, that's a rejuvenation. That is a, you know, an hour
Oh my
of
gosh,
sit there
yeah.
and people take care of me. So I'm like, I love that. I love that.
I could totally go for pampering. And, you know, I could totally
Yeah.
go for my husband pampering me, but he's not the person that would sit and give me a massage for an hour. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind like a massage gift card, or even like a pedicure, or, you know,
Oh,
just
that's a good one.
a facial, or I mean, something that I wouldn't normally do to just kind of pamper myself or
Yeah.
take care of myself. But I would be equally okay with like going on a picnic with him and my son,
Oh,
or, you know, doing
yes.
something. Yeah, doing something together. I agree with that. The adventuring is really good. If we had unlimited funds, I would have begged him to just go glamping with me again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they say like the mom would appreciate a trip that she doesn't have to fucking plan over anything, like she has no part in. You know, dads go and plan, you know, where they're eating, what they're doing, activities they might find, or, you know, what mom doesn't have to plan, you know. So
That would get fucked up
yeah,
because you'd also want
I
a trip that you didn't have to pack for, and nothing would be packed. You would legit have like one fucking thing of underwear, maybe 2 pairs of underwear. You'd have like mixed match socks, and you'd have 2 outfits. You'd have no pajamas, and you'd be like, where's my toothbrush?
right.
You know that's what would happen.
Yeah.
But yes, the thought of it sounds amazing. So I guess, yeah, maybe we just have to deal with having to pack ourselves and having them plan everything else, and that would be pretty amazing.
Right.
But I know that like most people can't afford a trip or like a little staycay, but
Right.
I love flowers. I do love flowers.
Yeah.
My child could make me anything, and that would be amazing. For my husband, I would much rather like a 2-hour foot rub, or let me sit in a dark hole and binge watch my favorite TV show in my pajamas without having to worry about anything.
Yep, you got that right. You got that freaking right. I saw this person on TikTok actually who bought his wife a night at a hotel for Mother's Day. And so she went there and stayed there at this hotel, read her book in bed, went hung out in the jacuzzi, and had like a whole. I mean, it would not be for me. I would be probably scared of my mind. But I mean, it's a nice thought for people who are not freaks like me. But I mean, that's pretty nice. Something like thoughtful like that.
That does sound amazing. I feel bad knocking on gifts when I think to myself, I wonder if the gifts I get my mom, she really cares about her ones. So that's now I'm gonna second guess my my gifts to my mom and think to myself, people are just so different. But man, when I look back, I'm so thankful for my mom. Like an ode to moms. I know, with Mother's Day coming up and
Yeah.
with my mom's concurrent, check for her cancer remission, I get so emotional around it. So I had bought her cards, and I always try to write this nice, blurb to try to explain to her how much she means to me, but there's really no words. My mom wasn't perfect. No one is. No person is perfect. But my mom was perfect for me. For what I needed, my mom has been perfect for. And I'm not going to say that we didn't have any of those crazy fights. We have. When I was a teenager, when I was going through my mom doesn't know anything stage, and, our personalities were clashing, we had those tumultuous times. But she was always there for me, loving me unconditionally, even if she didn't like the person that I was acting like at the time. But she always made it known that she would still always be my safe haven. And she was always there if I did need to turn to her. And it didn't matter if we were going through one of our tumultuous times. If I went to her with a problem, she would put aside whatever was going on with us and just listen to me and be there for me. And I think back to my childhood with my parents, and I'm really going to focus on my mom, but not to say, anyone that knows me knows I adored my father. And he also, both my parents gave me an amazing life. They sacrificed a lot for us to give everything they could, but my mom was just, she had 3 children. She never made us feel like there was a favorite, at least in my mind. My mom made us all feel loved and cared for, and it didn't matter how many mistakes any of us made, or if we went down, the straight and narrow path or the more curved path. She was always there to rein us back in, to give us a solid foundation. And my mom is very religious, and she also passed that religious foundation on to us and just kind of gave us that support and that unconditional love. And looking back now that I'm a mom, I see all the little things that she did, like especially around holidays, just to make holidays like warm and cozy or fun, or even like the 4th of July, she would go all out. And the mom doesn't get the recognition from that, but the childhood, the view that you have of your childhood is so dependent upon what your parents, most often your mother, did in the background. And I remember, swim days, or like, man, I remember my mom taking me and my brothers fishing alone. And to think, like, it's hard for me to wrangle my one child, let alone 3 children, and 2 of them being boys. And she didn't even like worms, but she came and took us to the creek to go fishing. And man, I remember that day. I was very young, but I remember being happy and loving being with my family. And we never had a ton of money growing up, but my parents, saved eventually for 2 vacations, but it was the little things that they did in between that. We did end up having a pool. That was one of their big investments, was a pool. So that way we could have fun at home. And I remember my mom would always be in there with us. She would always be playing games with us, or teaching us things, or doing water aerobics in there with her friends and our friends. And we would all be making a whirlpool and fires at night. And, campfires are just one of my favorites, and playing cards, and them taking the time to play games with us. And, I remember just the family time was just everything, but also the one-on-one time with my mom. Like, we'd have sleepovers and we'd go to Walmart in the middle of the night to like pick out stocking stuffers, and it was the funnest thing ever. And it was just all the little things. And man, I always find myself failing to tell her exactly how she means to me. And I try to explain to her, like, I still need you. I love you. You were everything to me. And all that she can see is her failings and her shortcomings. And I'm sure she doesn't just see that. You know, if I could give her a gift to see her through my eyes, that would probably be the best gift I could give her, because she really is one of my heroes. I mean, she is the strongest woman I have ever met and known in my life. And for her to have been through so much adversity and hard times in her life, and yet for her to be such a kind, caring individual still, and so faithful, and, you know, always having her eyes up to God, and always just looking at the positive and battling through. I mean, I hope to be half the woman she is. And it's incredible to now get to see her with my child and with how she interacts with him and her relationship with him, and to see this new side of her. It just makes me so much more appreciative. And man, I was so scared with that scan. Man, she is one remarkable woman.
And it's funny that you say, like, if you had like a gift where you could show her, like, you know what that is. But to me, like, the gift of me being in your life is big to me, because, you know, like, if you know me, like, I don't have the best relationship with my dad. I really don't. And I don't talk to him. I don't. I love him so much, but I don't talk to him. And so, like, if there's like a child that is not speaking to their parent, it can never reflect on the said child. I mean, I say like never, but usually it doesn't. Like, it's something that parent has done to push said child away. And, you know, like, I think my mom sees that, and, you know, she realizes that, like, if you're not there, like, if you're not there for me, and you know, you haven't been the person that you have been for my whole entire life, you know, stuck by me and been there, you know, at the drop of a hat, gone on every, you know, vacation, you know, made so much time for me, you know, made sure that I felt, you know, important or special, made sure my feelings were heard, then that's why you are here in my life as an adult. That's why I continue to keep you around. That's why I continue to talk to you every single day. And so, like, you know, I say, like, you know, that's like, I don't say it's a gift, but, like, you know, to her, in her eyes, like, that just shows you how much I value you, how much I love, and how much I appreciate you, that you are still in my life as an adult, and I choose you, you know, every day. And that's not the case for my dad. And, you know, him and her, they live together, and I don't talk to him, but like I said, I talk to her every single fucking day. And, you know, I value, you know, so many things in her, and, you know, I look up to so many things that she, you know, like you said, your mom did for you, and the things that my mom did for me and my sister, and, you know, things that, you know, when things.
And your mom kind of played both roles.
Yeah. And he, you know, my dad would be here, but be there, but then be here, but then be there. But he wasn't there like my mom was. And my mom was never a stay-at-home mom. And, you know, she worked, but, like, she'd get off work. Let's go somewhere. This weekend, there's going to be a fair in, you know, this place. Like, let's go. Or let's go to Universal. Like, I got us passes. Like, oh, let's go to Bushcraft. It was always something. It was always, you know, something that she was trying to get us involved in, something that, you know, same with, like, cheerleading. You know, me and my sister fucking loved cheerleading, and she would rush home from work, like, literally get off at 6. We had to be there by like 6, or she'd get off at 5:30. We had to be there by 6. It was at least a 20-minute drive to me, and then to drive me, you know, her up to get me there so I wasn't late. And, you know, paying for that by herself, because my dad was in and out of jobs and here and there. And, you know, like, just, my mom was the constant. She was the rock. She was the person who held down the fort at every given moment. She was the reason I have a fucking roof over my head growing up. She was the reason, you know, all these things. it means so much to me to have that figure, and for, my daughter to have that grandma to see that, and to have a grandma that, pushes forward and does everything for me, does everything for her. My mom hasn't been to Disney in fucking years, literally years. And she probably would have maybe a few more times in her lifetime stepped foot in Disney. But I somehow convinced this fucking lady to get annual passes with us. And so, now she can come with us all the time. And, her other grandma, Brent's mom and Brent's fam also has these passes. So to have, I don't know, I really looked out and just like the moms in my life, like most of the time I feel like you don't have that special, that mother-in-law, like the monster-in-law, I guess you could say. Like I don't have that, and I'm very lucky. And Brent has a beautiful relationship with his mom, and I love her to pieces. And so I'm, like I said, just so thankful that I have moms on both sides, and my kid has grandmas on both sides who are just beautiful people, and just very lucky.
Yeah, and the moms don't have to be perfect. And you brought up the mother-in-laws, and Matt's mom has always been very supportive of us and is always there to help out when you need something. And I can't say how much I appreciate that, and how much I appreciate her for being the mom she was to Matt and raising the man that, stands beside me today, because that in itself is very important. She raised an insanely good man that is very respectful and sweet and caring and strong and resilient. And, that's definitely something to be said for that. And, I think as moms, we get really hung up on trying to be perfect, trying to have everything together. And you're never going to have everything together. And I go the opposite sometimes, where I'm just like, hey, I'm a shit show. Like, this is it. This is me. But you still, even as much as in my head I say that, I still find myself sometimes stressing, like, am I spending enough intentional time? Oh, should we do this? Should we do that? And you just have to think, it's really just being there. When I look back, it's being there.
Right, it is. And it's so special. You get that, yeah, and you have that time with your mom that I don't have with mine. Like you live under the same roof as your mom,
Yeah.
and I am hours and have been, hours or plane rides or road trips away from her for the past 7 years at this point. And so, like, you have all that special, precious time right now, especially now that you have your own baby, and, she sees him every single day, and that's pretty cool. And,
Yeah.
so like, it won't ever be that like, oh, like you saw him like, once in a blue moon, like us. It's, you spent every single day, with your grandma, and that's amazing.
I know. And it chokes me up thinking like, man, I wish my dad was here. I wish parents, other grandchildren, they didn't have that one-on-one all the time. They were either, they had jobs and they were working, or they didn't live in the same state. And I wish I could see my dad with that, because it's such a gift to see my mom with that. And it really is pretty incredible. And I'm very thankful that we do live with her right now. And I get this time with her. It really is a gift.
Yeah.
But it's just being there. Like it. And when I look back, like some of my happiest memories were us on the back porch, or us in the creek, or us around the campfire. And it really, my favorite moments were always with us crowded around a kitchen table with everyone there, everyone's girlfriends or spouses or kids or friends, and we're playing games together. Those were my favorite memories. It wasn't where we went or material things or what they could get me or what I had. It was just being with them, intentional time together. And I think as moms, we need to remember that, because we put so much pressure on ourselves to just have that picture perfect, Pinterest perfect life. That's just, man, it's exhausting. It's pretty, but it's exhausting.
Yeah. That it is. That it is.
So on this Mother's Day weekend, and this will come out a little bit after that, we just want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
And remember, you are killing it. You are one amazing mama, and remember that. And don't let anyone tear you down or criticize you for the choices you make for your children. You are their mother, and you are trying to do the very best you can, and that is enough. So I hope you all enjoyed your Mother's Day weekend. I know this episode was a little out of left field from what we normally do, but we at least wanted to give some shout outs to our moms and just talk about motherhood in general. So happy early Mother's Day, Allie.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to you.
And happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. We love you. You're kicking ass. Remember that. You are enough, and this world is a better place for you. So if you like what you're listening to, please like and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. We'll see you next week.
Bye.